Yeah, you won't even fucking believe it. I'll tell you that.
Please.
Atlantis.
Atlantis, the sunken city?
Yeah.
There's a connection?
There's a connection.
What's the connection?
That there's a very advanced group that left after a catastrophe and hung around in a small outpost here and throughout time would push civilization forward, and that's who the Greek gods were.
Whoa.
Yep. And that's why it's very interesting when the Roswell wreckage, there's Greek writing.
Is there?
There is.
I've never seen any of the wreckage from Roswell. Have you?
It's online. You see it. Type in Roswell wreckage. You can see it.
Well, all I've ever seen is the dude standing in front of the bullshit, the weather balloon stuff, and they're laughing and yucking it up.
Roswell wreckage, Roswell I-beam. You'll see it, and it's got these Greek markings. And the witnesses that were there did what do you call it? Where they go on oath and tell. So that
actual I-beam showing the word Eleftheria,
which means freedom in ancient Greek. So
where's that from, Jamie?
Let me tell you.
I don't know. It popped up on it.
Well, I'm going to tell you something else. So okay. I went and met a former director of CIA and NSA. He was director of both. I won't tell you his name. And right when I sat down and told him about my book.
Pull that picture up again. Look at those little hands.
And right when I sat down and told him about this is a big deal.
Okay,
so I'm sitting with this guy. He was like, not that long ago, was director of CIA, and he went on to be director of NSA.
Okay. Well, I think we can find his name.
Maybe. But right when I sat down and told him about the book, you know what he says to me?
What?
He goes, I didn't read much science fiction as a kid, but I read a lot about Greek mythology. And looked me in the eye. I said, well, you're going to love the last page of my book then. He's like, am I? And when my book was about ready to go to pressing, I had a very important person call me up. He says, can you stop that pressing and maybe insert something about Greek mythology? And I said, I sure can. So something you got to realize is, for example, the 6th biggest defense contractor in the world, at least they used to be 6, is a company called Science Applications International Corporation, SAIC. Their headquarters are actually in San Diego. And in the front of the building, you have an obelisk coming out of a fake lake and 2 Atlantean on thrones, and they're both holding pyramids, and one says the past and one says the future. And they're 8-foot tall statues. It's fucking nuts, by the way.
What about all that Zechariah Sitchin stuff?
I think he was close. I don't think he was exact, but it's interpretive. You know, if I was to show you some symbols.
For people who don't know what that is.
Zechariah Sitchin is a Palestinian scholar that decoded a lot of ancient Sumerian texts that were written in Akkadian. Sumer was like kind of the first civilization that was advanced that we even know of, just out of nowhere here, like 3,500 years before Christ. There's mathematics, astronomy, and all this different shit. They knew all the planets. They said there's an extra planet. But Zechariah Sitchin was the one that really spent a lot of time doing that. And there's a lot of other scholars that disagree. Now he can say, you know, in those texts is the story of the Garden of Eden, the flood of Noah, like all that shit. But his take on it was those who from heaven to earth came, called them angels, but they were an advanced race. They fucked around with genetics.
Well, that was his take on the definition of Nephilim.
Was the Nephilim? Which you find that in Genesis, the Nephilim. So you know he was able to tell a really interesting story based on these texts, and but some people don't agree with them. But at the end of the day, I think it's the closest thing we got. And in my early conversations, when I was being given some interesting science fiction stuff for my book, the Greek mythology part, I brought up the Sumerians, and they showed me one particular king. They said, we find this one very interesting. And I can't remember his name, but it fired so quick when I asked the question. It came right back with this whole thing on this one Sumerian king. Really interesting.